Now, the Duval Rundown, driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, home of the lifetime warranty.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Duval Rundown. I'm Hayes Carline. Please be joined as always on Monday with Frank Frangie, voice of the Jaguars and host of the Frangie Show. Frank, what a run. Who could have foreseen this, before the season? But the Jaguars are one of the hottest teams in the NFL, a 5-game win streak. They've won 6 of 7 post-bye, 48-20 over the New York Jets, did exactly what they needed to do in terms of taking care of business against a lowly opponent. And my goodness, Trevor Lawrence with a performance that we won't soon forget, a historical performance, becoming the first player to ever throw for more than 5 touchdowns, rush for a touchdown, and rush for more than 50 yards in a game ever. Lamar Jackson's never done it. Josh Allen's never done it. Stunning stuff yesterday from the franchise quarterback.
Yeah, there's all kind of things to unpack. Let me start with the first thing you said, that the Jags took care of business. Hayes, look, that was the next step in their maturation. You and I talked about this. Can you get to where, okay, now you're good and you play someone that's not? Can you win easily against a team that's not? Because can you still have that edge you play with, that disrespect, and play with a chip on your shoulder? Well, they did. They play the same way against this team as they do a really good team. We'll find that out next week because they play a really good team, by the way. So that was the next step, is can you be mature enough to take care of business? Look, 4 times now, Nick Mullins is ended the game.
That's crazy.
And that doesn't happen in NFL games, man. And 4 times in the NFL game, Trevor's come out of the game because it was in hand, and Nick Mullins has gone in there and taken a knee. He's taken more knees. He's got to clean his pants, the knee spot of his pants, because he's taken more knees than anybody in the league, I think. So first things first, the team was ready to play, and the team came out and played at a very good level and easily demolished a struggling football team like you're supposed to do. They're one of the best teams in the league right now, the Jags. They really are. If there's a power poll, if they're not 4 or 5 in a power poll, they're getting it wrong. So they're playing really well. As your point about Trevor, I'm not really surprised. Now, we're all surprised at the numbers the way they are, and I got a lot to unpack there, and we'll get into it in a minute. But he's playing, Hayes, at a really high level. And I'm happy for Trevor. He's a good guy, stayed the course. He's found an incredible rhythm, 23 touchdowns, 11 picks now, 9 touchdowns and no picks in recent games. He's playing at a great level, no question.
Yeah, and it's honestly, what he did yesterday, and I get it, it's against a Jets team that, I think it's fair to say looks pretty checked out, although they came into the game having won 3 of 6. So it felt like a team that maybe was trying to, hold on to some relevancy and take some pride in playing spoiler. But none of that showed up yesterday for New York. But nonetheless, in an NFL game, to do what Trevor Lawrence did yesterday, sensational. And as you mentioned, since the Arizona win where Trevor was really turnover prone, he has been phenomenal. 9 touchdowns, no interceptions the last 3 games, 100-plus passer rating in all those games. It's the first time he's done that since 2022, where obviously we saw Trevor at his best to this point in his career. So, yeah, it's really interesting to see that Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence partnership, because you saw this last year with Baker Mayfield when Liam was the offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay. Like, Baker Mayfield's numbers in December were like unbelievable. I think he was like 16 touchdowns, 5 picks, something like that. It was he had a great year throughout, but really hit an extra gear in December. Do you think it's just that it's now finally everything is sort of settling in, and what do you attribute Trevor's jump to?
Well, a bunch of stuff. I want to go back to that Arizona game because I think that was his turning point. That was a critical game, Hayes, in his development, because it's not like he had all these turnovers and they won in spite of him. That's not what happened. He turned it over 4 times, made 4 really bad plays, and then he made a bunch of really good plays to win the game. If you make a bunch of turnovers, but your defense recovers a couple fumbles in the end zone and you win the game that way, then the team won in spite of you. That's not what happened in that game. He made 4 bad turnovers. He threw 3 touchdown passes after that. He ran for 2 critical first downs, and he led him on a great drive in overtime with 2 great throws. So he came back and won the game. I made the analogy on a radio show of he made a bunch of errors and hit a bunch of home runs. Well, that's what he did. I think that was the catalyst. I think that was the game, not because he made a bunch of turnovers and they won, but because he made a bunch of turnovers, and then he went and won the game for them, and he's been doing that ever since. So I think that really, he played free and easy. He didn't worry about the turnovers. He kept firing it downfield even afterwards. I thought that was a real turning point for him because he's been great ever since. As for the light coming on now, let me make this point about Trevor. And I've made it a bunch, but I want to make it in detail now. Trevor Lawrence, in his 5th year in the league, he's had 3 head coaches. He's had 3 quarterbacks coaches. He's had 4 play callers in 5 years. He's had a revolving door at wide receiver. It was DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault when he got to the league. And then after that, it was Kirk and Zay Jones and Marvin Jones and Ingram, which was really good, that 22 year you talk about. Then came the Calvin Ridley experiment, which was the disaster. Then the Gabe Davis experiment, which was the disaster. Then even this year, Hayes, he started out with De'Ami Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., and Travis Hunter. Well, Travis gets hurt. De'Ami they missed on. He's now a backup. And Brian Thomas Jr. was dropping a lot of passes. So it became Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington and Tim Patrick a little bit, and now Brian Thomas. So the point is, he's had a lot of change. Patrick Mahomes has had 1 head coach in the NFL. Josh Allen, 1 head coach. Lamar Jackson, 1 head coach. Tom Brady had 1 head coach until he changed teams late. Joe Montana had 1 head coach until he changed teams late. This guy's had 3 head coaches in 5 years. So people say, why does it take so long? That's part of it, man. That's part of the development. And that's nobody's fault. They were trying to get it right. They just couldn't get it right. Well, now they have. And now I think you're seeing him comfortable with Jacoby Myers, comfortable with Parker Washington, comfortable with Brian Thomas Jr. again, who's played at a better level. The point you've made all along is that he's kind of by osmosis a little bit, done some of the more physical things. I think that's what's happened. Now they're in a rhythm. And the exciting part for me, he's going to have some bad games, by the way, he's human. But the exciting part for me now, Hayes, in this thing is they're going to stay together. Liam's not going anywhere, man. He's going to keep being here, keep calling the plays. They got to get Jacoby Myers signed. They got to get Parker Washington. I like where they are. But to your question, it just took a while to have the same guys together. You know what I mean? Finally, it's only been about a month that he's had this group together, and he's been with Liam all this time. And I think it's a natural time, and I can't wait to see the next step. I really do.
And they're protecting him. This stat I thought was really interesting. Yesterday was the 5th game that Trevor has not been sacked this season. That's second most in the league. So for an offensive line that has been maligned in previous years, these guys are giving him time. You certainly saw that yesterday, but it's not the first time. And Trevor was, kind of went out of his way to compliment the protection. Because it's something that I hadn't really thought about, but you got to give them credit. If they've had 5 games this season where he has not been sacked, I mean that speaks volumes to the offensive line as well. And your point's a good one about obviously the receivers and getting familiar with Jacoby Myers. The whole team, obviously Trevor doing something that the league has never seen before, that was going to stand out, but the whole team, it's for the 48 points, 3rd most in franchise history. Again, they've won now 5 straight games by a combined score of 171 to 72. The plus 99 is the highest in any 5-game run in franchise history. I mean, Frank, you've seen all these Jaguar teams. Are we getting to a point where this might be one of the best ones that this franchise has ever produced?
It certainly you get the impression that the cheekbones are there, don't you? They've still got more to do. They've caught some good breaks now. They've played some struggling teams. They've played backup quarterbacks. They've played young quarterbacks. And I think you have to temper it a little bit because of that. I think they would tell you that. We'll find out more next week. We'll find out more when they go play a 12-2 team that's great defensively and has a quarterback playing at a good level. So we'll learn a little bit more next week. But I think yes, Hayes, I think the cheekbones are there for this to be something very special as the season and the other seasons move on. I want to go back to what you said about protection. 2 things. Number one, you're right. Give Tony Baselli and James Gladstone and Liam Cohen credit for rebuilding that offensive front. Cole Van Lannon, who had to play again because of a concussion to Walker Little, might be as good as any lineman they have. He's played at a great level. Robert Hainsey, gosh, has he given them a presence in the middle? Patrick McCarry's been a really good right guard. So they rebuilt the offensive line. There's a pride in that group. They want to protect the quarterback, and I think you're exactly right. They protected him. Here's another part of that. Have you noticed that Trevor's pocket presence has really improved? One way you avoid sacks is knowing when to step up, when to get rid of the ball, when to get out of there. That's one thing that he was not good at that I'm sensing. You remember all the great quarterbacks, Marino and Peyton and all those guys. They weren't good runners, but remember how they'd step up just a little bit? They would know when to step up, when to climb the pocket, when to get out of the pocket, when to throw. I think you're seeing that too. So the offensive line is playing at a very good level, no question about it, and they've done a great job rebuilding that line. But I think Trevor's helping them not allow sacks by knowing when to get rid of the ball, when to bail, when to step up. I'm not even talking about all the scrambles. How many times does he step up, climb the pocket just a little bit, and buy himself another second or two and get the ball out? So it's all working together right now for that Jaguars offense.
What was it like to call the 33-yarder to Parker Washington?
Oh, it was a blast. But I didn't want – it almost looked like he threw it up for grabs. I didn't want to say that. I just said he just fired it and let it go. But you had a hunch there was something happening down there. So when he threw it, my thought was he might be throwing it away. That was my thought. Probably anybody's, right? So when he threw it, I thought he might be throwing it away. But I didn't say that because he's been so accurate. And then all of a sudden, it's right on the money to Parker Washington. That's what amazed me, is that what a good throw it was and what an accurate, just like Tim Patrick the week before. So yeah, he's playing a great level. Well, there was a lot of fun to call. This has been fun, by the way, for the play-by-play guy. Let me tell you that, all right? This little run has been a lot of fun, not just for the Jags. We're having a blast on our booth, I can assure you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely. Jacob Simon's helping us out on Duval Rundown, which we certainly appreciate. He's the brains behind the operation. Jacob, let's say hello to our sponsor, please.
Falou for Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, your locally owned commercial truck headquarters and proud partner of the Jaguars. For hard-to-find ProMaster vans or commercial trucks for your fleet, visit jaxwest.com today.
Defensively, the Jaguars, we knew it was going to be a matchup that could be advantageous for them with going up against the Jets offense that was starting Brady Cook, a quarterback, an undrafted rookie. He'd only had 30 attempts all year, and that showed up. But I thought Jets scored 20, but obviously the game was never really in doubt, and the Jaguar defense again gets a bunch of takeaways. Monteric Brown with an incredible interception. What were how did you feel like the defense did?
Boy, they find the ball, don't they, Hayes? That's the one thing that stands out about those guys. Monteric Brown's interception, which was early in the game, important. Antonio Johnson had his third interception of the year. It was a little later on in the game, but he went over the top of the guy and found the ball. They find the ball, man. That's one thing that stands out. Look, they've got a good defensive team. The fact that defensive line found itself, Trayvon and Josh Hines-Allen playing at a very high level. Eric Armstead playing the best football since he's been a Jaguar. Devon Hamilton probably playing as well as he's been since he went out a few years ago. And the two linebackers are really good. So that front group is playing well, but they find the football, man. That's one thing about this group. Those takeaways aren't an accident. I know they went through a little stretch where they didn't have them for a while, but I think they find the football. Look, they were going to win that. The Jags defense versus a rookie quarterback who had never started, they were going to win that battle. They were going to. The question is by how much, right? What would be the margin of victory between the Jags defense and the Jets offense? And it was pretty significant. Again, this is a team that had to learn a lot about being a good team. Part of that is when you play a bad team and you have high expectations, to not be asleep at the wheel. They've talked about that all week long. They talked about maintaining that chip on your shoulder. And they did some smart coaching things. Number one, the Jets aren't very good offensively. What they are good is Isaiah Williams is a really good return guy. So kick the damn thing out of the end zone every time so you don't have to deal with that. Did you notice that? They weren't messing with that. They said, you know what? We'll let you start at the 35 with your rookie quarterback. We're not letting your return guy bring it back. So we're going to kick it out of the back of the end zone. The second thing is, boy, I thought Liam Cohen was in his bag. Some of the play calls, the play call on the touchdown pass to Bashal Tutin, what a gorgeous play call that was, having both running backs in the game at the same time. And then on one of the touchdowns to ETN, when he slipped him out of the backfield and Travis had to dive for the ball, those were two fantastic play calls by Liam Cohen. So, yeah, they're really well coached. Part of it is being ready to play a team that's not as good. Part of it's the play calling. Part of it's the strategy of whether to kick off to a guy and when not to. They've got a really good plan, Hayes, and they're playing to it. They really are.
Absolutely. Let's touch on it. You've mentioned it a couple of times. Obviously, what they have coming up Sunday, going to Mile High to face the Denver Broncos, who I believe now have won I think it's 11 straight games. They got a monster win yesterday over the Packers. Bo Nix threw 4 touchdowns, and you mentioned that defense. It's not probably Houston, but it's probably the next best thing in the league. It's up there. It's definitely got a case for being the second best unit in the NFL. Obviously, what a week this is getting ready to be in terms of the excitement around the city for a 10-win Jaguar team playing a 12-win Denver team. So that'll certainly be a lot of fun. But what do you think this week will be like, and what will be a couple of matchups that you think will decide the Broncos game?
Well, it's a huge game for all the reasons you talked about. I got home last night, Hayes, probably late second quarter of the Denver-Green Bay game, and I probably watched Denver more closely. I always try and watch the next team. I go back and watch a TV tape of the game, but I got to watch it live, and I probably watched more of the game than I normally would have. Boy, Denver's good on defense now. They cover. They rush and cover. As far as pass defense, man, they are all over you. God bless Green Bay. And again, by the time I watched it, Green Bay had some success early on. Josh Jacobs had just broken off the long run for the touchdown when I started watching it, and they were up like 23-14, something like that. But then, boy, Denver really shut them down. Denver can get after the passer, and they can cover. So I think the passing game will be a challenge this week for the Jaguars. But that's what you want, man. You want to listen. If you're gonna reach all your goals, you got to play the good teams too, right? And this will be a good barometer for how far along they are. Not whether they win or lose the game. That's obvious. That's real important because it's important in the standings. But in terms of where they are in the growth of this franchise, because it's on the road, it's going to be cold. Now I think it's going to be 50, not 30, right? But it's going to be on the road in weather you're not accustomed to against a team that's flying high, a very good team. So how they respond and how efficient they are in this game will be a real good tell of how good they are. Remember now, the last 3 games they've played, a Titans team that's not very good, a Colts team that lost their quarterback early in the game, and a Jets team that's not very good. Well, now you got to go on the road and play a very good football team. We all know that. So this will be a good test case. Not that if they lose 28-27, they're not good, but a good test case of how they handle something like this. I can't wait for Sunday. I really can't.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the biggest games, and I guess that'll be Week 16. Hard to believe, but it's when you look at the overall picture. We'll get you out with this. What a year for the Jaguars to make a run in a year that coincides with the Chiefs dynasty, at least for a year, collapsing. And who knows if they'll ever get back. Mahomes tears his ACL yesterday. The Chiefs lose to the Chargers. They're eliminated. So if you're the Jaguars, boy, this thing is we're still weeks away from the tournament, and the biggest heavy is already out.
That's right. The Chiefs, the 64,000-pound gorilla is out. They are the monster. They're the King Kong, right? They are out. But there are more good teams in that AFC, man, than there have been. Think about how good Buffalo is and how well they're playing. The Chargers have found themselves. The Texans are physical and nasty. Both the Patriots lost yesterday, but both the Patriots and the Broncos are good. So whereas typical powers, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, don't look like they what they once were, Hayes, there's this other group, right? There's this other group that's kind of coming out of nowhere, and they're awfully good. So, yes, the Chiefs are down, but the Jags are one of them. The Jags, the Texans, the Bills who've been around for a bit, the Chargers, there's the Broncos. Other than the Bills, Broncos and Chargers and Jags and Texans a little bit are kind of new blood, right?
Absolutely.
I know the Texans won the division a few years, but they're new blood, and that new blood's going to go at it with each other because the big monster is kind of down, and the other two sort of monsters, Ravens, Steelers, are sort of down. So it's going to be an awful lot of fun. It's going to be these last 3 weeks of the regular year, and the playoffs in the AFC are going to be as much fun as they've been in a long time. And man, it's great to have the Jags right in the middle of it. It really is.
Absolutely, Frank. Great stuff. We certainly appreciate it. We'll look forward to catching up with you later today on the Frangie Show.
All right, Hayes. Thanks, buddy.
All right, we'll be back on Wednesday with Ryan O'Halloran. Until then, thanks for watching Duval Rundown. Enjoy. The Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Who saw this coming? Have a chance to triple their win total from last year by the time this is all said and done. Enjoy your Victory Monday. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching Duval Rundown.